Hey there, how's it going? This is Neil Napier. Welcome to this session. I'll just check on my mobile that we're coming through fine, and then we'll get started. Okay, I think it should be good. All right. So I'm not on camera today. I hope that's okay. But what I wanted to do instead was do a screen share and walk through some strategies that you can execute to build the type of content that you should be building based on the customer journey. So that's the question that I've been getting is what kind of content should you create to keep your audience engaged throughout your membership site, throughout that experience that you are creating. So let me explain a few things about what the audience sees when they go to the membership site that they have paid for. So let me organize it right over here, and I'll use bigger text this time. Okay, perfect. Okay, so the very first thing people see when they get into a site is the layout and colors, right? Because that's the first thing that pops up. The second thing they see is, let's say, module names or lesson names. That's the first thing, that's the next thing they come across. Then what they want to look at is introduction. Like, is the introduction clear? Is there a roadmap as to what will be taught when, and what can I expect to get? So with every lesson, what they want to know is goals of that lesson. So what's a goal of any given lesson? And then what they also want is a summary which says, how should they go about executing everything. Like, even though you can give out a lot of information, people still have doubts and questions about how they can still action all of this. So even though you had a roadmap, now what you want is checklists and other, let's say, templates and such. And then what next, which is what happens after they're done with whatever it is that you were teaching in that course. So there are quite a few different things that you have to go through within the course to give people the optimum value that you want to provide to them. So let's talk about what kind of content should you create based on the customer journey as to where they are within the membership site. So I won't be discussing layout and colors. I mean, I think that's kind of beyond the scope of this, but I will be talking about everything else here, maybe even module names or more lesson names at this juncture. So when you're building out your membership site, the layout, at least I know within Kyvio, is quite straightforward, is that you have a menu on the left-hand side where you've got modules and lesson names, and then generally you have all this space reserved for content. What's missing from Kyview, and what we're going to add in later as well, is some more information about who the creator of the program is. Having that enforced every single time builds that trust. So if I'm a completely new user, let's say, and I've opted into a free course from you, I'm going to, of course, when I get in, I'm going to look at the menu, but there are a few other things that I want to be paying attention to. Those are, is it properly branded? Which is, are you including your picture, your name, your credentials everywhere throughout the site? So that's one of the things that I'll be paying special attention to. The other thing I'll be looking for as well is it easy to follow? So along with menu, you've got clearly defined thing, but I'm also going to be looking for goals. Like, what can I expect to learn from this particular lesson? And if you do that, you just improve the response there. I mean, you improve what people can get out of that particular lesson. And if they feel like, okay, this is not something I need, they can jump on to the next one. So clear modular lesson names are very, very crucial. Another thing that I'm looking forward to is an introduction. So that's not an introduction to just, the program, but also about you. So if I'm learning from someone, I kind of want to know, even if I've just, bought a free course or paid the money, I want to know why them. I want to understand what is it that they're offering right now that's better than everything else I can get there. So having an introductory module there, which talks about why this course and not something else, will really lend a lot of credibility. So again, if you're building something for an audience that has never bought something from you before, or they don't know you well enough, then for the new audience, make sure your intro is solid. Make sure you compare yourself, I mean, not to others in the sense that, hey, this is why you should choose us, because they've already chosen you, but you should explain. Compared to other courses, why is this better? What can you expect to get out of this? So that's very, very important for introductory stage. Okay, let me know if that's clear, and I'll move forward. Just give me a thumbs up or give me a yes if that's clear in chat, and I'll keep moving forward. All right, I guess that's not clear. If not clear, please ask your questions. I will absolutely answer them before we end this live stream today. So in the beginning, make sure your introduction is solid. Then the thing that a lot of people make a mistake at is that they don't really think about how they will label their modules and lessons. So if you're building a course, especially an action-based course, usually there are steps involved, right? So whenever I build out my mind maps, I've got introduction or agenda, I've got, details about why this problem, why right now, and then I go into steps. Step 1, do this, step 2, do this, and step 3, do this. So I can tell you, intermediate users really look for this kind of information. Why? Because they're not interested as much in the introduction. I mean, they don't care as much about you because they've already paid you money. What they care about is very quickly what are the steps that they can go through to achieve success in whatever they're doing. So again, Michael's here. I'll tell Michael, because when it comes to cold calling, I know what cold calling is all about. What I'll do, because I'm short on time, is I'll just go through the the lessons that I really want to go through. So labeling them properly is very important. Calling them what they are is very crucial. Step 1 or step 2, step 3. And in the beginning, you can even have something like start here, which is, of course, the introduction thing. So that's very, very important. As an intermediate user, that's what I look for. Okay, so again, I'm just going to put down newbie here. Module names and lesson names are more, I think, for intermediate users. That's how you should position it anyway. Introduction and roadmap, again, for more newbie users, right? Then if I think about advanced users, what you want to think about is if they don't have a lot of time, what would they want to do? Like, for example, I don't have time to watch an hour-long webinar. I just don't, or a video, right? I'm so busy in my day. Unless it's something that I absolutely need, I'm not going to sit and watch it. So either I watch them at 2x or 3x speeds, whatever is workable, or what I tend to do is I go through the summary. So this is bite-sized info, right? Summary of each lesson, which kind of ties in with the goals as well, or summary of each module, but something that I can quickly go through and see if it's right for me or not. For example, when I'm looking to go through a new course, I often buy it. I download only the PDFs, only the PDF. Why? Because I don't want to waste my bandwidth downloading all the videos from a course if they're not going to be relevant to me, if there's something I can't potentially learn. Because if someone's teaching about how to set up your hosting, I don't want to download, I don't even want to pay for that, right? Let alone download and go through any other material. So what I do is I download all the PDFs that are associated with the more expensive courses, and I go through them and see where am I weakest at. So I go only focus on things, then I go back and watch the videos to understand exactly what it is that I didn't know well enough. So for an advanced user, what they tend to look for is shortcuts. What they tend to look for is a way to speed up whatever it is they're already doing. So if I'm doing that, I'm just going to look for the exact lesson that I need to, that I'm weakest at, and I'm going to pick that and I'll work on it. So that's how you target them differently. Now, what you can do, this gives you, hopefully this gives you some interesting insights about how to position your course in terms of where the customer is at in their journey. Now, hopefully this gives you some ideas about pricing as well. So what I would say is that for membership sites, you could at least have 2 pricings, at least. So you don't have to, but that's what I'm recommending. You could have a beginner's package or an intermediate package, and then you could have an advanced package. Okay, so you could price them however you want, but ideally close enough, because the goal is to drive people to the advanced package. But within this package, they also get the summaries and checklists and templates, so they can kind of go through it faster, right? Try and understand, people don't pay for advanced because they're getting more. They pay for advanced because they're getting things faster, because the things are more succinct. So it's like that old adage, if you ever heard that story, a guy who's a really good plumber gets called in to fix a plumbing issue that people before him haven't been able to fix. I mean, they've been trying to fix it for 6 months. They haven't been able to. So he comes in, what he does is he spends 5 minutes and then he figures out what the issue is and he fixes it. And then a week later, when the invoice arrives, the business is really confused. They're like, why are we paying $5,000 for this? They send it back to him and they say, can you itemize this bill for me? Why are we paying $5,000 for something that took you 10 minutes to do? Then he wrote that I charge $4,900 to know what to fix and $100 to fix it. And that's the idea. In that if someone is advanced, they're not looking for every single thing under the sun. They're looking for quick starts. They're looking for things that they can speed through. So for people who are advanced, you want to provide them bite-sized information quickly, and you can actually price that in the more expensive package, because bite-sized information takes time to create. It's not easy at all to create information, from a bigger topic. You can't really condense it that quickly or easily. So I would strongly recommend building a summary, which could include checklists, templates, swipes, or whatever you can add to essentially expand the kind of content that you can provide in a membership site. Now, having said that, let's go a little bit deeper into this and talk about what kind of additional content you can provide to people when they are going through your membership site experience, right? So we'll talk about that. Okay, again, I'll go back to this. So when we're looking at checklists and templates, not this, those are just two of the options. What you want to do is you want to give them all possible options that you can. So for example, templates are one, obviously checklist is another. Then also you could do roadmap, which is kind of like checklist, but it's at a bigger scale, right? Checklist could be smaller things. So how to write, how to create really good content, that could have its own checklist, or how to hire the right person for creating content, that could be its own checklist. But the roadmap is something bigger. It's where you show step 1, do this, step 2, do this, step 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you bring all the checklists together in a way, right? Templates are things that you have done before, and you give people permission to kind of copy them, or at least, be influenced by them. So that's something that you're giving as well, additionally to people from what they're getting. There are other things that you can provide as well. Let me just pull up my list. I'm just going to stop share for a couple of minutes. But there are other things that you can provide to people as well, which they would be willing to pay more for, because it's just incredible value. Again, that's kind of what you are essentially paying for. So what I would recommend in that case, let me go back to screen share. Okay, so if I'm giving people some, let's say, if I'm trying to bring people into an advanced package, I could also do AMA, which is Ask Me Anything. So once a month, I can open up a free session where I say, okay, you can ask me anything you want about anything related to this particular topic. And I'll answer that truthfully, answer honestly, without even thinking, about the answer. I'll just tell you what's on my mind. You could also do masterminds. You could also do accountabilities, which are similar, but basically what you do is you put two people together and you say, okay, you're now accountable to each other, that you have to be successful, you have to finish your tasks. And if you don't, you can both work out a penalty between yourselves. You could do masterminds. So you could get a few people together. Let's say, again, I'll use Michael's example because I think he's still listening in. But if Michael was selling this cold calling course to agencies, he could get all the agency buyers into one group and say, okay, talk about what your challenges are. So he could do that as well, right? You could bring in experts. So you could bring people who are really good at a specific thing. And you can then add that content into the advanced version of the course as well. So there are many different things that you can provide to people throughout their journey. To me, it's like this. And again, I just want to be completely transparent about this. How much value you get from me depends on how much money you pay to me. I'm not showing you obviously how to create all these things. And I'm not going to show you that for free because it's advanced. It's something that is proprietary knowledge. It's something that only I can do extremely well. However, I will give you all this for free. So, and they're tiers, this is all free information. If you pay a little bit more, you get a little bit more. If you pay a lot more, you get a lot more, which includes one-on-one time with me as well. So all of this should factor into how you position your course. And when you sell that, then you can also structure the content to give people exactly what they need. All right. So I hope that's clear. I hope that's useful. Let me know if you like it. If you didn't like it, tell me that as well. It's always good to get feedback. And I will see you on another session next week. Cheers.